Turn music off, should turn music on. Anyway, hello, my name is Mordred Viking, and I'd like to welcome you to this stream of Europa Universalis IV, where we are playing the Community Clash. As you can see, we have a lot of people here today. However, we also have a lot of people not here today. Let me just turn the music down slightly, it's a bit loud. There we are. So the list of protected nations at present is Austria is not here, Castile, Naples, Mamluks, Bohemia, the Papal States, Poland, and Ethiopia. Ethiopia, I think, should be joining. He's just having a couple of connection problems. And then, unfortunately, Hungary is not protected because the Hungary player has now missed 2 sessions. So Hungary is open for business. So let's go and switch over to the player map mode as soon as I remember where it is. There it is. And then we can see precisely who is here. So we have got Grass in England. We've got Commander Faceless joining in Sweden. Commander Faceless was previously Scotland. I belatedly realised it was Denmark who was part of the reason that Scotland died, but apparently these two are still pretty amiable, so that should be okay. Plus, I kind of wanted an independent Sweden anyway, so that we had a couple more players in the area to deal with Muscovy. Just balance that out a bit. We've got Darkfighter himself in Muscovy right now. That guy taking over in Brandenburg. We've got... Why do you not show me the player? Oh, Klemf in Cologne. Oh, interesting. If it's a vassal, it doesn't tell you who the player is. Cool. We've got the Empty Road in Saxony. We've got Slurfen in Trier. And Mauricie in Holland. Then zooming out a little bit, we can see that we've got Strawman taking over from Calico. He's a substitute for France. We have got Meanwolf over in Poland. No, Portugal. We've got 48 in Aragon. Helson is in the Ottomans. Who's this? Kaiser Wilhelm. So this is our Ethiopia player. So last time Burgundy was also wiped out. We had 2 casualties last time. Burgundy has switched over to Ethiopia, and Scotland has switched over to Sweden. We've got Marcus in Tunis. I think Marcus wasn't here last time, so I'm curious to see what Tunis does. We've got Machiavelli, also known as Val, in Florence. We have got... Oh, crikey, who's Venice? Venetian something. Venice is Aretos, and then Genoa is Gustav. And then we've got Arachnos over here in Karakanulu. They were not here last time either. So we definitely have a couple of new areas suddenly being populated. Karakanulu and Tunis on the fringes of the Mediterranean. We've got the new player down here in Ethiopia, which I was a little hesitant to do because I didn't want to have players too far out, but I think that Ethiopia offers some very interesting gameplay and some very interesting relations to Europe because they are Coptic. So I decided to allow that one, and then obviously Sweden. And it's going to be interesting to see whether and how Sweden breaks from Denmark. This is what we call a goal-orientated game. So every nation in the game has 5 goals. Those goals are listed right here. Where's a goal? Goal, not goals. I should probably edit that title because that title is in fact wrong. Goal. There we go. Can't remember my own commands. How good is that? So every nation, like I said, has 5 goals that they are trying to complete. Every nation also has 1 secret goal, which only they and I know. The objective of the game is to complete 4 goals. We had a couple of goals completed last time. We have Bohemia, who is unfortunately not here, did actually manage to get their monopoly on glass. So Bohemia has one of their goals completed, and Brandenburg has a goal completed because Brandenburg actually managed to disassemble the HRE, which caused me a little bit of a headache because a whole bunch of nations, particularly the Germanic ones, had lots of HRE goals, and it basically said, okay, Austria, you've just lost 4 of your goals, you can't possibly win. So I've rewritten all of those, so the goals list has been pretty heavily updated and edited, particularly for the Germanics, for Austria. Brandenburg I don't think was affected. I think it was mostly Bohemia, Austria, Trier, Saxony, and Cologne that were changed. Category says Hearts of Iron. Yes, it does, doesn't it? I thought I was so ready, but apparently not. Europa Universalis, there we go, changed, thank you. So I'm very curious to see what happens. We've already got a bunch of player wars going on. So currently we have got Saxony fighting against... Let's bring up the diplomatic map mode. Saxony is fighting against Denmark. So one of the things that happened at the end of last session is Hamburg was fighting against the Danes and has almost lost Hamburg. However, Hamburg did send me a message saying we're going to try really, really hard to make some diplomatic deals and turn this tide. And apparently he's done that. So we've got Denmark and France and Sweden fighting against Hamburg, Saxony, Trier, all on one side. So we've got a bunch of the Germanics banding together to defend Germany. And then we have France, which is a little bit one-sided, Denmark, and of course Sweden, because Sweden's still in the personal union. They've not had a chance to break away. So one of the rules that was kind of established during the developer clash, on which the idea behind this is based, especially with me in observer mode commentating, is never end a session while in a war, because it allows stuff like this to happen. Hamburg was on their own in this fight. Now they've brought in a bunch of their Germanic miners to come and help them, so that's the kind of turnaround that can occur. Plus, that's Saxony. Who is fighting Lübeck right now? Lübeck is currently fighting against Hamburg, Saxony and Trier. Because Lübeck was attacked by Brandenburg? Brandenburg's made peace with Hamburg. Brandenburg declared war on Hamburg, that's right, because I think Hamburg had Lauenburg, which Brandenburg has taken from them. Here is one battle going on right now, so we have got the Danes and Holstein versus Saxony. Saxony coming in with 3.3 morale against 3.8. I don't think they're going to have the numbers to turn this one, though. They do have a couple of reinforcements coming in, but that was a very poorly coordinated fight, and unfortunately, I think they felt they were up against time because of the siege ticking along right now. Let's actually switch over to Brandenburg's perspective so we can see the siege as it ticks down. So we have a couple of Lüneburg troops down there, Saxony being sent well away, Trier being a little bit slow to respond to the situation, and then Hamburg, Dithmarsch and East Frisia, and I don't think Verden's actually in this fight, sitting here in Stad. If you refresh Bushy, it should now say EU4. Ethiopia, one of the great powers of Africa. Seriously, don't underestimate the power of the Solomonids. Still mad about that. Well, we do have an Ethiopia now, so I'm very curious to see what they are able to do. What I'm even more curious about is whether France is actually going to fight this war. France is sending troops to go and attack Trier right now, so France is involved. So Denmark and France, I guess, having a solid agreement of some description in place. I'm kind of glad that Denmark has not been left completely out to dry, because I was a little bit worried, having known that Hamburg was working on some diplomatic deals, that Denmark would be kind of caught completely off guard. Although I also really want Hamburg to survive, because they have some really interesting goals. Hamburg's goal is effectively to become the Hanseatic League. So they need to take Lübeck, they need to take Riga, they need to take Novgorod, or Neva. I think I was actually going to change that goal, wasn't I? And I never did. I should probably make a note of that. Where shall I do that? Let's make a note in another tab. So, Hamburg, Novgorod, or Neva. Because the whole point of them taking Novgorod historically is because you could go down the rivers to do trade, but obviously that's not actually coastal, so Neva would be a lot more useful for them. Is Neva actually a centre of trade? Yes, it is. And a very good one, in fact. Oh, there's a bunch of centres of trade up here. I never quite realised how closely together all of these are. Interesting. So you have 4 of them right there, and then another 3 right here. Okay. So yeah, let's go back over to the French map mode so we can see what they are doing. They're currently sieging down Trier. The Allies have gathered together, but they don't seem to be attacking Denmark, and they're going to need to do that pretty soon if they want to keep the fort. Fort's been lost. And it looks like the Hamburg fleet is about to get sunk by the Danes. I think I probably would have tried to sell that. Unfortunately losing a bunch of light ships here, and I don't think there's anywhere they can run to. Where are you retreating to, Mr. Hamburg? Oh, they took Lubeck. Interesting. I see what they were doing. So they attacked Lubeck, took it, so that Hamburg actually has 2 cities. I like that. That's a nice move. Hamburg's running out of cash, but they should be able to take some loans. Proposal to steer trade from England. England wants their trade. Is this a deal for England to join the war, I wonder? Because England has reasons to see France fall. France is already steering trade. I think they're doing it to England, aren't they? I have a feeling there's an agreement between England and France already, because remember, there is an alliance between these two. They are still allied, and trade is indeed being sent from France to England. So England's collecting everything in the English trade node, which is going to leave the Dutch a little bit isolated. They need to be very careful they don't get caught out between Britain and France. Meanwhile, this is the fight I want to be watching. Hamburg is... no, Lubeck is now being sieged. They are re-sieging the fort here. That's a lot of troops sitting on that one province, taking a bunch of attrition. Then, of course... oh, nope. We've got the Allies fighting against the French. The French here on -2, 3.7 morale against 3.5. This is a pretty close fight. A 4-4-1 general versus a 0-4-1. The 4 shock is the important stat. Unfortunately, they're not quite able to edge them out. But they are making France pay in blood for joining this war. I mean, I feel like this is a bit bullying. Like, France and Denmark versus Hamburg. How many troops do you need? Well, apparently 60,000. To take down 39,000. I don't know if Hamburg's going to edge this one. I think this is going to be closer than it was going to be last week, where it was literally just Hamburg against Denmark, and I like the fact that the Germanic states have banded together a little bit. And in fact, I think one of the new Germanic goals, if we could just go through those real quick, is ensure that no non-Germanic primary culture great power own provinces, with the exception of Bohemia, in North and South German regions. So if we go to the regional map mode, we can see that this is all North Germany. So they are trying to get one of their goals completed by kicking Denmark out, because Denmark is not a Germanic culture, it's a Scandinavian culture. And that's one of their goals, because one of the things I really liked about the HRE goals that the smaller HRE states had was they basically wanted to make sure that their HRE had at least, I think it was 25 princes. So it was going to be the big guys, which is Bohemia, Austria, Brandenburg, trying to consolidate power, and then the little guys, Saxony, Trier, and Cologne, trying to make sure that power remained fragmented. I mean, a strong HRE is still really, really good for the Emperor, and the Emperor, the stronger the Emperor is, the more he can protect the HRE. So this was actually going to be good for Austria, if Austria retained the Emperorship. Though, of course, every single other HRE power also wanted to become emperor as one of their goals. In fact, Bohemia's goal was to become emperor 5 times, because Bohemia was actually the emperor quite a few times historically. But that was lost, obviously, when the HRE was dissolved by Brandenburg, so I kind of tweaked that a little bit and said, just keep Germany Germanic. That's your goal now. So clearly that's what they're trying to do here, is stop outside influence, and these goals are working exactly how I wanted. So we have got 11,000 against 27,000, 4 morale against 4.1. Dithmarschen leading the fray here with the massive amount of morale that I know that they can get. Holstein charging in. I think Denmark, however, has the quality to just edge this. Plus there are Swedes here as well. So Sweden is helping the Danish out. The Danes are taking some damage. We've got, who's this? Trier coming in, but Trier is just too late. They are not working together very well. I bet they're shouting at Trier in the voice chat right now. Though Trier himself is being occupied. I don't know if he's going to lose anything for it, but they are going to do it. Yeah, one of the Cologne's targets is to become a new tag or to reach 300 development. Unfortunately, they are attacking into a -1 because of the fort. So how are the casualties looking at the moment in this fight? The Germanics have lost 54,000. The Danes and co have lost 38,000. They're definitely causing problems. They're making them bleed for their conquests. Unfortunately, I think Cologne's about to get stack wiped here. They did not run far enough away. Sweden coming in a little bit belatedly. Sweden's army actually fairly small. And apparently not fighting in this. And yeah, they were sent packing again. I'm not convinced. Minus 71 war score now. We'll see if Denmark is going to demand everything and completely wipe out Hamburg. Who's the Hamburg player? Blue Kiwi. Oh yeah, Blue Kiwi is one of the ones that was having technical issues before we started. Yeah, he's kind of important. Kind of important. So Hamburg could get an admin idea. Doesn't seem particularly interested in that right now. Might have a few other things on his mind. Alright, let's get some tea while we are watching people die. So one of the other things that we have done between sessions is we realised that a bunch of the ownership goals, you could just have people trading territory. So those ownership goals are now temporary. So if you lose ownership of a province that you were supposed to have for one of your goals, that goal is no longer considered complete. Which matters because I suspect that is what was going to happen down here, where Venice is buying up Mamluk territories, including Alexandria, which is one of Venice's goals. So they have actually completed one. So that is now a rule, and if you go to the goals page, which again is !goal, I should probably make a separate one which is !goal, so you can do either. I'll do that between sessions. You will see that there are a bunch of goals which are now in purple. Those purple ones are conditional, so if you no longer meet the condition, you will lose that goal. And I'm still kind of tweaking the balance for those. I want to have each nation having 3 or 4 of them, with the big nations having 5. I mean, some of them basically has to be 5. There's no way around it. They just kind of have to be conditional, but that's generally the type of balance I've tried to go for here. France definitely doing a good job. Denmark is going to owe France here. Well, without French intervention, what would their numbers be like? Yeah, see, I think Denmark would be struggling a lot more if France wasn't there. 30,000 of this 54,000 are French. Has someone else just joined? No, someone seems to be murking up really hard. Saxony and Cologne both have surprisingly large armies. And this is good for France, weakening the Germanic states, because again, no HRE, so none of this stuff is protected anymore, which I suspect means we're going to see a lot of much bigger German states than we are used to seeing. In some way, it's good for the Germanic miners, because it allows them to gobble up their neighbours and become bigger. But if they lose too many troops during this war, then they're going to find their own neighbours going after them. So they do need to be a little bit careful. Fizz Biscuits is connecting. Who's Fizz Biscuits? Fizz Biscuits is Poland, so we have our Polish player back again. Can Cologne form Westphalia or Rhineland? Westphalia. And Trier can form someone as well, but I don't remember who. They might both be Westphalia, actually. And now we have a Poland. I'm going to risk alt-tabbing out in order to fix my player list. As soon as I find the damn thing. Where is my playlist? There it is. So Poland is now here, so they are no longer protected. But the others still are. No problem. Svar, thank you very much for the follow. And Sir Fochville, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, while we're kind of waiting for sieges to happen, I think we're going to take a look at Arachnos, Helson, Mean Wolf, and 48 to see what they are fighting against, and of course Tunis as well, just because I'm kind of curious to see what opening moves they are making to expand.